And we have takes. Welcome to Football Takes.
Football! Yeah! Football!
Oh, man. And the news is coming fast and furious. It is Black Monday in the National Football. So we've got the playoff bracket finalized. We've got the draft board finalized. And we've got teams firing leaders left and right here on this Monday morning after a banger Sunday night game, too, by the way. So there's a bajillion things to talk about here. On Football Takes with our guy Thor Nystrom from Thor Talks Purple, noted draft aficionado, the sports dad Judd. I'm Phil Mackey, Declan Goff producing and spinning plates. And North American Banking Company, that's right, Football Takes has a sponsor. North American Banking Company for the Twin Cities-based audience, 6 locations in the Twin Cities area. And it's also the official bank of the O-Line Committee now in 2026. Check out that podcast. But in getting to know the team at North American Banking Company over the past several months or year or so, I can tell you, very friendly, knowledgeable people, actual humans you can have a relationship with that handle your finances, and cutting-edge online tools. So whether you're looking for a better checking and savings experience, or maybe you're looking to buy a home or tackle a renovation, whatever it is, go to nabankcode.com/Mackey to learn more. That's nabankcode.com/Mackey. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Judd, why don't you deliver the first? Where do you want to start here on this Black Monday in the National Football League?
Oh, boy. Well, let's just start with this. Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland, right?
Well, not anymore.
All right. Exactly. Not going to work here anymore. Not going to work here anymore. I think Kevin Stefanski, I think of all of the names being fired, I mean, Pete Carroll is going to retire again. Raheem Morris, I think he's going to get a DC job for sure. I think Kevin Stefanski is the most, well, and he might be here. Let's wait till Brian Flores leaves, okay? Let's just wait. Brian Flores might come back. But anyway, I think Kevin Stefanski is the most marketable of any coach that has been or will be fired in this cycle. 2 Coach of the Year awards. He's coming from an incredibly dysfunctional place. The Browns are dysfunctional. They can't help themselves. If they're not dysfunctional this year, they'll go back to being dysfunctional next year. They were dysfunctional in 25. At the very least, Stefanski will be coveted as an offensive coordinator, but I also believe that there's a decent chance he could wind up with a head coaching job immediately, given what he has done, put in a terrible situation. The Deshaun Watson thing was a complete mess from the word go, and I'm sure he's got some culpability there, but he didn't make the decision to make that trade by himself. So I think Kevin Stefanski is the most marketable and probably going to be the most coveted of any coach who has been or will be fired in this cycle.
Yeah, and he's going to get looks from other teams. He's going to get interviewed for other teams' head coaching vacancies, and certainly offensive coordinator if it doesn't work there. But yeah, it wouldn't be a shock at all if he gets hired as a head coach. I was just sad that my boy terrible Terry Fontenot got fired in Atlanta. So one of my favorite guys to follow in the sport, and it's too bad that they relieved him of his duties.
How about the awkwardness? It was more on the Raheem Morris side, because Raheem does the press conference after every game, and they won all their games down the stretch. They finished like 4-0. They threw the division up on its head. Technically, they tied for the division and lost on a tiebreaker because they also finished 8-9. And Raheem Morris, after every press conference, goes to the back of the room or off to the side, and he hugs Arthur Blank. And was it Arthur Blank's son also who's there, I think? Mm-hmm. And to see that clip and then know that like an hour later they brought Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot in and fired them. Dude, the news is coming fast and furious here.
We got
fast and furious. Jonathan Gannon, come on down. The Arizona Cardinals have fired head coach Jonathan Gannon, 15-36 after 3 seasons in Arizona.
Did you guys see that the pregame before the Cardinals yesterday, where I think it's Jonathan Bidwell, who is the owner of the team, went to midfield to give Jonathan Gannon a big old hug?
Oh wait, he initiated the hug?
Yeah, he initiated the hug. So this is like the mob here.
Did he bring him in close?
It's like the mob here. It's
Enjoy
like
it. Take your last breath.
It's the kiss of death. It's the kiss of coaching death. I was surprised. I fully expected that in addition to Raheem Morris last night, that we would see like 2 or 3 reports of coaches being fired come out on Sunday night. And I thought Jonathan Gannon for sure would be one. The question now is what becomes of Kyler Murray?
Yeah. Well, it's a good question, because maybe a new regime or new coach comes in and says, wait, actually, I would love to work with Kyler Murray. But just to put all the updated news on the table here, the Raiders have also fired Pete Carroll so we're recording this kind of mid to late morning on Monday. There's going to be other things breaking, and we'll have more Football Takes episodes throughout the coming days. But Mark Davis, with his weird bowl cut, put out this statement saying the Las Vegas Raiders have relieved Pete Carroll of his duties as head coach. We appreciate and wish him and his family all the best. Moving forward, General Manager John Spytek will lead all football operations in close collaboration with Tom Brady, including the search for the club's next head coach. Together, they will guide football decisions with a shared focus on leadership, culture, and alignment with the organization's long-term vision and goals. So I'm gonna give you a take here. I think there's a very good chance Tom Brady gets the New England band together and hires Brian Flores to be the next head coach of the Raiders. There was already some speculation that Brady that he likes Flores from, knowing him in New England. But would that at all be a fit that interests you, Thor? And I'll tie this in because I know you have a take on this. If you're the Raiders, and let's say Tom Brady wants Brian Flores to come in, knowing what happened with Flores and Tua back in Miami, if the Raiders are in line to make a pick number 1 overall that's a quarterback, would Flores be a fit for that? And also, who would that quarterback be at number 1 overall right now?
Well, he'd be a better fit than Weekend at Bernie's Pete Carroll edition. You had to wheel him out of there. You got his sunglasses on. We have a live human being with a beating heart back there coaching the Raiders. Probably be an upgrade next year. Brian Flores got a lot of juice, too. And I think that guy, he's learned from his mistakes, vis-a-vis the Dolphins, but also going to the Vikings organization. I think he's picked some stuff up there as well. And I think if he gets another shot at a head coaching job in the NFL, I think you will see him take a page from Kevin O'Connell's book and just reverse it, where O'Connell's like, I'm the head coach of the offense and all the team operation stuff. You get the defense. And I'm not going to talk to you any about that. That is your thing. And I think if Flores, whether it's the Raiders or anywhere else as a head coach, I think he'll be taking the football operations and all the defensive stuff, and then he's going to be hiring a guy, say, you're the head coach of the offense. So I do think that that's a potential fit, and I think he should get another opportunity. He is wildly overqualified to be a defensive coordinator in the NFL. He should be a head coach.
Okay, let's stay on the Raiders for a second here, because there's a lot to unpack with like Brady's involvement, what they might do with the number 1 overall pick, who they hire as a head coach. If you were to hire Brian Flores and kind of overnight over the next 2 years, flip that defense around, that becomes a top 10 defense, and you draft a quarterback of the future, how quickly could the Raiders have been kind of an embarrassment for the better part of 2 decades. Are they a couple decisions, number 1 overall pick and coach, away from being relevant again, or is it all too stinky underneath Mark Davis's leadership with this kind of convoluted front office?
I think they could be. Let's say you do the Flores thing. Could they? What about Kevin Stefanski as an offensive coordinator? Whoever it is, you could offer them a lot of power just south of head coach, right? Like you're going to have more power than the typical offensive coordinator. And I'm not going to go on to your side of the ball. And then using the first pick, we assume it's going to be on a quarterback. You're going to be getting Geno out there, and you're going to be resetting your books. But the Raiders, next year is going to be a trying season for them too, no matter who is the head coach. But then you have the opportunity to reset your cap situation. You will have presumably not presumably with the head coach. You have your head coach. Presumably you'll have your new quarterback too, coming via the first pick. And then you're going to set yourself up to get a top 5-6 pick in the stacked 2027 class. Hopefully that is the finishing touch you need to then start getting out of the gutter. But yeah, they had to set about a new course. And so if they make some good decisions this offseason, I think in a couple of years they could be back.
I do think that Flores' potential hiring there would go a long way towards making Max Crosby happy, who they just pissed off endlessly. But this is interesting for two reasons. Number one, I've continued to say Brian Flores is suing the league. So there's a lot of teams that would be like, sorry. But Tom Brady, who I don't think has any love lost for the National Football League, and Roger Goodell in particular.
Same with the Davis family.
After Deflategate, and the Davis family hates the league, and as always, this goes back to Al and
they
Pete
would
Rozelle.
savor it.
Exactly right. So Brian Flores, can you imagine the double birds that the Raiders could give the league by saying, we don't care, he's suing you, good, I hope he wins and he's going to be our coach.
We're suing you, we're deflating our footballs, bleep you.
Exactly.
Goodell.
The other thing that would be great for the Vikings, now if Flores leaves to take a DC job as a free agent elsewhere, there's no upside. But if Brian Flores leaves for a head coaching job, the Vikings will, because of stipulations put in the last couple of years, the Vikings would get compensatory draft picks, which is typically a third-round pick for 2 consecutive years, because the league is, rightfully so, trying to incentivize teams to hire minority candidates. And if he leaves for a head coaching job, I think that, despite the fact his contract is up, I think that gets triggered as well. So if you're the Vikings, you're like, oh, okay, don't want to lose him, but if we have to, that's far superior to him walking away for a DC job. So this actually, but when it comes back to Brady and the Raiders and the Davises, this actually sort of goes against what I've been saying. It makes more sense that they would say, we do not care, Roger, what you think. We're going to do our own thing.
100%. And I think this structure could work, that sort of hypothetical. And maybe Brady's someone who wants, it's a guy where they were criticizing him because he's listening in on the headset in the Raiders games, but then he's announcing the other teams' games and he gets access to them in the interviews. But it's someone that clearly wants to be involved with the Raiders operation side, right? Like the only other story we had of another owner with the headset, we got a lot of attention too with Carly Irsay with the Colts or whatever. But maybe Brady wants a little bit of input on the offensive side of the ball as well with whoever they're going to handpick to be in that scenario of the head coach of the offense, offensive coordinator guy in a Brian Flores type regime. I think that would work fine if everyone is understanding of their roles. And I think, Brian Flores would be cool with this too. But yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense.
Are you guys does it offend, to what degree does it offend you guys that Tom Brady has a now even more elevated role? He's a part owner and now helping to run their front office, according to the Mark Davis press release. And also coming up next on Fox, it's Tom Brady and Kevin Burkhardt calling the Seahawks and the Packers. Like, I don't know. Unless we find out that it directly impacts, I still think it's all just sort of outrage fodder. But is there a legitimate conflict of interest now that you know that he's crafting the Raiders front office and coaching search?
There probably is, but so two things. One is I think he made, as an analyst, huge strides. Like year one, I thought he was not that good. I actually think he was good now.
Me too.
But what I don't get is this. Like he clearly, well, I do. He's being paid a boatload by Fox, Thor. But he clearly wants to be involved like in the day-to-day stuff there. And I think if you're going to get, the Raiders are a mess. They are a mess. I've said this. The Davises are not good at what they do. Now, if Brady stepped in and was like, whoa, I'm here now every day. I'm going to take control. I'm a control freak, but that can be okay. I actually think that he would be doing the Raiders a better service by going and being there full time. But my thing a year ago was it's a conflict of interest and you're not that good. And Greg Olsen is great. Greg Olsen is still great, but Brady improved a lot. But I think there's a better case to be made now. Of course, he would be forfeiting a ton of money. I think there's a better case to be made now, Thor, that it would make more sense for him to be involved day to day there. Because I think what we saw is putting it on autopilot and walking away this year and saying, Pete Carroll's good, he's stable, blah, blah, blah. This team needs a lot more than that.
Yeah, I think he ought to decide on a path too, right? Like, you can try to be the Chris Collinsworth guy or, whatever with the play-by-play, or you can try to be like the super involved owner. But yeah, there is a conflict of interest on those two. There literally is. Part of the thing of being the announcer is you get access to all the other teams and you get to ask them like whatever. And you don't want to put the teams into the situation of we don't want our players talking to Tom Brady before the thing, because then he's going to be worse on TV, and that affects the viewing experience. So I do think probably he should pick a path, and probably the ownership side, I think, would probably be better. He's not bad on TV, but there's lots of guys that can yap. I got an idea. Tom, you focus on ownership, and Jameis Winston, come on down. We want you in the booth next year. Good sir.
And then he could eat W's with the star of the game after every single Fox.
I will watch all the 2-14 against 2-14. The Raiders Giants game. From the end of December here, as long as Jameis Winston is commentating them, and I don't even need someone else setting them up. Just let Jameis Winston talk for 3 hours. Let him talk while the commercials are going. Just patch in his audio through that too, because then I won't change the channel.
Let him go Mystery Science Theater 3000 on the Buick ad that's going across the.
He could literally be the first commentator who is walking around the stadium with a microphone, just on it. He could commentate the game just walking around, and then he's his observation. He's talking to Frank in the stands. Now he's okay. Now we're talking about the play. Guy's just wildly entertaining.
At the very least, Declan was first on this on Purple Daily a couple years ago. After ducking into the Fox. I think it was like the halftime thing that they were doing, or maybe it was right before the game. Terry Bradshaw, dude, like here's a take. Terry Bradshaw right now is worse than Lee Corso had been the last couple of years when ESPN mercifully put him into kind of a part-time role. They were talking Packers Vikings, and he's trying to figure out he's trying to figure out if Jordan Love's playing. And then he's trying to figure out who is their backup. It's that, and they said, well, Clayton Tune. He said, yeah, I've never heard of that guy. Who is that guy? He's their backup? And they're like, well, Malik Willis is actually their backup, but he has an injury. It's like, dude, just Jameis Winston, come on down. You're on the Fox pregame show going forward. I feel like that's a viable
He'd
solution.
be great there.
And Tom, I do think Tom improved, but stop screaming into the microphone over the play-by-play guy when something exciting is happening. Oh my God, Kevin! Oh, look at this! This is happening!
Wow.
Just relax. Let it breathe.
Hey, I have come so far from being like this guy is phenomenal to I can't take it. Tony Romo to me, has just gone so far backwards. It's like that guy was so good at one time. That first year, second year is calling plays, telling me what's happening, and now it's exactly that. Oh boy, I can't. Oh Jim. Oh, and it's like a shtick.
It is a little caricature-y.
I think Brady is superior to Tony now.
I'd bring Mark Sanchez back. Just have him on a phone from
disheveled. Hair disheveled.
Yeah.
Say he's got the same bloody shirt on.
If I see him at St. Elmo's in late February, I'm turning and walking out.
Well, don't
challenge him
though. You might, Don't
see what
follow
happens.
him. He
Come
might
on,
lead you to a bad alley.
Just eating the shrimp cocktail. That's it. That's all I'll challenge him to.
Just be
I don't want a part of anything else with Mr. Sanchez.
brings tears to your eyes.
Yeah.
Thor, just to put a bow on the Raiders theme here, give us your next football take.
My next football take is I think the number 1 overall pick in April's NFL draft will be decided not in April, not in March. I think it will be decided on Friday night when Oregon takes on Indiana. And we have the 2 top quarterback prospects. The teams are the Raiders. The teams there at the top. The Jets will be considering at the top there, and I think that game is going to have a heavy say in that discussion. We know that Mendoza is going to be in the next draft. Dante Moore from Oregon. Before in November, there was reports he was leaning towards returning to school. Now it seems like it's gone kind of the other way. I heard from someone I was talking to over the past week that that Dante Moore heavily leaning towards the draft, and that Oregon already has identified his potential replacement, and we'll see how that goes. But apparently Oregon's been circling around Raiola, who left Nebraska. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see on that. But if Dante Moore plays well, Oregon wins that game, or even if they lose close, but he plays and outplays Fernando Mendoza in that game, I think that's going to lock it in that Dante Moore will be in the draft. And this is closer, I think, than people think. Mendoza against Moore. It's just that Mendoza we've known is going to be in the class, whereas Moore, haven't been quite sure. But again, reading the tea leaves, we are now going towards Dante Moore being in this class, and he has a plum opportunity on Friday night, taking on the top seed, the only undefeated team we have in the FBS, the number 1 seed in this CFP, Indiana. Indiana with just that amazing defense, shut out the lights on Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson, a guy we thought was going to be a first-round pick the middle of the fall. Indiana now, after that game, Ty Simpson faces Indiana's defense. Now it's like Ty Simpson might have to go in the transfer portal. You don't want to go in the draft anymore. Now we have to rebuild our stock or whatever. So Dante Moore facing this nasty defense, and he has a shot here to make his argument for the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. So I think that slot is going to more or less be decided on Friday night.
If let's say they're both in, and you got the draft order here, which is set after yesterday's games, just for the audience and for the audio audience too. Las Vegas Raiders with the number 1 pick, New York Jets number 2 pick, and then it's the Cardinals both of those first 2 teams absolutely need quarterbacks. Arizona looks like they need a quarterback if they're out on Kyler Murray, and you could save a bunch of cap space by saying goodbye to him. Tennessee is set at quarterback at number 4. Giants with Jackson Dart set, but the first 3 teams likely are interested in quarterbacks. Is it a foregone conclusion that quarterbacks go 1 and 2 in the 2026 NFL draft?
No, because if Dante Moore were to return to school,
if he comes out, yeah, I'm pretty confident in saying you're going to see quarterbacks go 1-2. Yeah, and if the Jets, if they, whatever goes on there, I don't imagine that they would bypass the quarterback. But if they were to, it would be via a trade. Have to assume to a team, like you're talking about, like the Cardinals, the Browns. I don't know what they're planning to do there with their quarterback thing, but another potential trade up team. But yeah, quarterbacks are going to go 1-2. I believe if Dante Moore is in the draft. Yeah,
I got a question for you, Thorsky. All right. As college football gets more and more screwed up, how about we take the gloves off here? How about just with the power conferences, okay? So the transfer portal opens and every kid and their brother checks it out. They all declare. Can we get the opening of the transfer portal corresponding, synced up with a new thing called the trade portal? Where if I'm a college football team, I can start making trades. Because you know what? Like, I'm all for the kids and the power. That's great. But it does feel like, you're going to lose. I mean, Coy Parrish, right? Well, if I'm the Gophers, I might need a safety. Can we work trades out? Because let's stop acting like these kids go to school. Like the Miami QB said, I'm in there, we're grinding film from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the Twitter world was like, well, when are you going to college? And the answer is he's not. So can we please get some trades? Like, let's just go.
Well, they'd have to be under contract for multiple years. They're free agents every year. So there's no.
I think we need to do a contract thing. I think that's what I'm saying is I'm talking about an evolution of a process that I don't think we're going to go back from. Like, it feels like it's going. So could we do contracts? Could we do trades? And then when your contract is up, to Phil's point, then you can also have the opportunity to enter the portal and leave.
Yeah, I think these are separate issues, but the thing of the timing of the portal window in the middle of the college football playoff, where you see it, I think it was a defensive back on Oregon is leaving the team because he feels like he has to with the transfer portal thing, and then it's like, oh, that's ridiculous. But then you look at the example of Trinidad Chambliss, who is the quarterback of Ole Miss, one of the remaining Final Four teams, who cannot even log an appeal for a 6th year of eligibility that he should be granted because one of his years he didn't play at Ferris State because of a medical issue. By the rules, his medical red shirt should be granted. It's just that he can't even apply to it until Ole Miss's season is done. Well, then if he misses out on that, they don't respond in time, his eligibility lapses, and then he has to be into the next NFL draft. So it's like on both sides of this, they have to get better with the timing of it. I think if you move up the postseason, you move up the college football playoff, I think that would be one way to do it because you have to time up the portal window as well. Of course, with the new semester starting at the schools, at least keep up the illusion of the farce of the student athlete.
Yeah.
Right.
That's Thor just nailed, like, because Nick Saban is on TV every week on game day saying, you got to move this, move that. So, well, the reason why the transfer portal is the first week in January is because the spring semester starts like the second or third week in January, and they want those kids to be enrolled in their new school before the end of January.
I think we need to get past that. It's just a pro sport now.
And if you move it up, then you can also then have the season ending more closer to a traditional end time for college football, which was around January 1st, right? Like, back in the day, that was like the huge day of college football. It's like January 1st, and now we still have weeks left of the season. I think stop stretching this thing out. Get to the playoff right after the regular season, and then one a week. Right. And then get it to being more or less done by the beginning of January. And then, that's how you do it. And then as far as the other stuff, look, no one was advocating longer, harder for the ability for players to not only transfer, in the same way that coaches can leave whenever they want, but also for the players to get compensated than me. I badly wanted that. However, the system now is ludicrous. Every single year, it's free agency. And then also during the fall, you have active poaching going on. I can tell you. Behind this, all these players are getting contacted by intermediaries and the mother and the aunt of the cousin, the second. And hey, would you be interested in playing for school X? I know a coordinator there, and they said that they're interested in you, and they might – while the season's going on. We got to stop this nonsense. And Judd, you hit that one with the contracts. The way that you do this is you unionize the college football players. They become part-time employees then of the institutions. That's when they have to sign contracts, right? You then pay them for merely being on scholarship, right? Whether it's $50,000 a year stipend, whatever it is, NIL could be on top of that. But what the schools get for that concession of we're going to, let's say it's FBS programs, we're going to earmark $15 million to player salaries next year based on the amount per scholarship, whatever. They still get the opportunity for NIL. But what the school then locks in, you have to then sign the contract. You are an employee, right? And then there's terms with that. And if you try to walk away in advance, there's penalties for that, or there will be an ineligibility, et cetera. But until they get to that, you have this Wild West, sort of environment that we're living in now.
Coy Parrish signed to, just for the sake of our discussion right now, a 3-year contract. He's after year 2 right now. He's like, you know what? I'm looking at Ohio State, Oregon, guys. I don't feel like I can win a natty here, which he's probably right about. Okay. But if he's in year 2 of a 3-year contract and I have the ability to trade him, I can call those schools then and try to work out compensation for me.
You could call Tulsa. You could call,
his boy
North Texas.
Corey Heatherman at Miami.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I could send him to Miami.
Yeah, it seems
I'm just
like,
throwing it out there.
My only issue with I like moving the schedule up, Thor. I'm all for like everything culminating on January 1st or something. But how would these kids study for finals in early December if they have to worry so much about the college football? I can't even say it with a straight.
No, you can't. You can't. Nor should you.
But that's why they don't do that either. Like they pause the conference championships take place, and then you get the Army-Navy game on an isolated weekend, and then kind of like a couple bowl games scattered, but it's like a 3-week off period for most schools because that's the finals period in theory for kids to study.
You know what their finals are, Phil?
Homework.
Those bowl games, the playoff games, those are their finals, okay? Those are their finals. We're talking about turning this into the purest form of a minor league truly for the National Football League. Yeah. Like that's what it needs to be. And if you want to call it Ohio State, that's awesome. Go knock yourself out.
As long as we can keep the Pop-Tart Bowl through all of this transition.
100%.
Obviously.
Then
100%
with it. Yeah.
If I don't get another text about the Pop-Tart Bowl, I'll be the happiest guy on the face of the earth, Thor.
Better ratings in the NBA Finals, Judd.
It's incredible.
Dude, it's crazy.
It's incredible.
And like everyone's, I bet ratings spike after the game. Everyone tunes in to watch which Pop-Tart is going to sacrifice himself.
It is genius.
100%.
And then that guy jumps off the thing, but there's a pad to jump onto, which is a bunch of crap. Like that Pop-Tart should have died.
He should have. I'm going to bring it back to the NFL because I want to test specifically Judd, but everyone else chime in here too. I want to see how much do you believe in Sam Darnold heading into playoff high leverage football games here. Okay.
Yep.
So The Seahawks finished the season as the number one ranked DVOA defense, number one ranked DVOA defense. So we're getting into the analytical weeds here, but the number one analytically ranked defense and the number one overall DVOA team. That's only happened 5 other times in NFL history. The 1985 Chicago Bears, Super Bowl champs. The 1996 Green Bay Packers, Super Bowl champs. The 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Super Bowl champs. The 2013 Seahawks, champs. And then 2 years ago, the Ravens, who lost in the AFC Championship game. And maybe there's a Ravens conversation here, too, off last night. But based off this, 80% chance that if you are the number one overall and number one defensive DVOA team, you win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So by my math, there's an 80% chance that Sam Darnold is Super Bowl champion here in about a week.
And I'm glad that you brought this up because I actually had this in my notes for football takes as well. And my answer is my tune has changed completely. Completely changed. I'm in on Sam. Now, why am I in on Sam?
Oh, okay.
Why am I in on Sam?
It's being managed.
Because if you watched the game on Saturday, 4th down, red zone, Seahawks, and they say, you know what, we're going for it. We're going to go for we're not going to take a 3-0 lead. We're going to take a 7-0 lead. And Darnold threw a terrible pass on 4th down, and I got a text, I think it was from Dex, that said, here we go. We're about to get it. And I thought, you know what, he's right. Sam Darnold experience in full effect. But let me go through Week 18, the last 2 seasons involving Sam's team, okay? And this is why I am in on Sam. Seattle on Saturday night ran the ball 39 times. Darnold was 20 of 26, 198 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, sacked twice. A very, very good, respectable 97.9 passer rating in a 13-3 win. Now let's go to Week 18. Let's rewind. Week 18 of the 2024 campaign. Sunday night game, also in prime time, against the Lions for the number 1 seed. Exact same stakes. The Vikings ran the ball 19 times, and Darnold was 18 of 41 for 166 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 2 sacks, 55.5 rating. And the Vikings lost 31-9. But before you say that meant they had to throw, they had to have Sam attempt 41 throws. The score at halftime was 10-6 Lions, 4-point game. And it was, 10-6, and then after 3 quarters, it was 17-9. The Lions scored 14 points in the 4th quarter. In other words, what I didn't realize, and I said this before, I blamed Sam solely at the time. Well, now I'm going to spread that blame out to Kevin O'Connell as well. What happened? The Seahawks are willing to be patient and run the football 39 times. And so when Sam starts to go a little bit sideways, the Seahawks are like, you know what? That's not a problem. That's not a problem because we are a diversified offense. So I'm in on Sam. What I misjudged was the competence of Sam's bosses. Yeah. I blamed it all on Sam. I was wrong. Sammy, if you're watching this out in the Pacific Northwest, I'd like to apologize.
I want to say that as much as I love teeing you up and poking you about your perpetual Sam Darnold skepticism and hate, you had multiple write that down predictions on Purple Daily that involved him getting benched midseason.
All wrong.
But where I agree with you is you can absolutely win a Super Bowl, and the Seahawks might show you this with Sam Darnold as your starting quarterback, as long as he's not the lead singer with everything else in the background.
Correct.
And if you look at the rest of this list, and then we're going across some different eras, and the NFL is hard to compare over different eras, but the 1985 Bears won the Super Bowl because of defense, some home field advantage in the playoffs, Walter Payton, right? And then Jim McMahon was there existing and doing his thing. The 2002 Buccaneers won a Super Bowl because defense, some really good weapons around, and Brad Johnson just didn't turn the ball over and didn't screw it up, and he's like the 3rd thing or like the 4th thing, right? And you could say the same thing maybe about the 2013 Seahawks. That was either it was like a rookie or a 2nd-year Russell Wilson on that team. Not the Russ that became an MVP sort of flirtation player 5 years later. And it was defense leading the way. This Seahawks team is going to get a bye, home field, and has the number 1 yards per play defense in the NFC. Number 2 in the NFL behind only Denver, the other number 1 seed on the other side of the bracket. So really, like Darnold, it's less about tapping into his peak upside in the playoffs, which you'd like to see some of, and it's more about don't throw 3 blue screen of death interceptions that cost your team a chance to win a Super Bowl. If he can stick to that, you can 100% win a Super Bowl, and there's going to be some interesting conversations from the teams like the Vikings that chose to move on from him if he is hoisting that trophy.
Yeah, that's 100%. The Seahawks have the best defense in the NFL, and they can run the ball well. By definition, they just need the quarterback to avoid the back-breaking turnovers, and they should be okay with home field advantage here. I'll believe it when I see it, but I agree with the setup of this, that he is being better managed. Just using the last game as an example, Darnold wasn't great against the 49ers that game to win the number 1 seed there, secure that thing. But the dominant defense holding the 49ers offense just feeble in that game because of the Seahawks defense. Keep Sam in positions where he can succeed, not turn the ball over, and take advantage of that big arm, right? Running the ball, get the defense to have to address that, try to get your one-on-one shots down the field. You could start to string some wins together here in the postseason. But yeah, it's not a singular talent guy that's going to raise the tide of everyone around him. But we've seen when the circumstances are good around Sam, he is just fine driving that car. So I'm curious to see how the Seahawks do in the playoffs.
All this being said, I do not think for 1 second that Sam Darnold and the Vikings would have the number 1 seed this season. The Vikings defense is very good. That being said, I do not think Kevin O'Connell would have done what Clint Kubiak, ironically enough, has done with Sam. So I think he would have tried to ride Sam, and it would have eventually ended with the blue screen of death plays. The Seahawks simply, for the most part, when it's real crunch time, aren't allowing that. So I think Sam has found a very good home. Congratulations. You made the right choice, dude.
And it felt like the 49ers probably absolutely, as the number 1 Brock Purdy stan outside of the Purdy family on the show and in the world, it felt like that was a humongous missed opportunity for San Francisco. So San Fran goes from playing with the 1 seed, getting the bye, getting Trent Williams healthy. They might even have a shot of getting Fred Warner back in the playoffs too. So huge missed opportunity. And not only did they drop, you'll go play the Panthers. No, you actually have to go to Philly. And even though the Eagles are still a little suspect, I still probably lean. I can see the Niners winning a game in Philly. But you're telling me you go from potentially having home field advantage, never having to leave your bed after that game, and getting some players healthy, some important players healthy, to now dropping all the way to the 6th seed, having to go to Philly where it's very tough to play. It felt very kind of reminiscent of the Vikings dropping the game last year. Just, if they get the home field advantage, they get to rest, they're all good. Now San Fran has to stay on the road for likely the whole playoffs and still play very, very banged up. Big time missed opportunity for my Niners.
Yep, 100%. Dex, do you have any other football takes before we're going to have to save some for later this week? There will be more episodes of football takes here, but anything else for the road here?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, as a Vikings fan, which I know, again, I'm pretty sure most people who are Vikings fans would prefer the field to implode when the Bears and Packers are playing over who they were forced to win. I'm trying to figure out how that one goes because I think I lean Green Bay. If you're telling me to pick that one straight up, it's an open weather, cold weather stadium where Lambeau is just like that, so it's not necessarily like that tough sledding for Green Bay. It's the first time Caleb Williams is there. It's the first time Ben Johnson as the head coach is there, being the man there. I think I lean Green Bay. If I'm a Vikings fan, again, I'm not trying to root for any of these teams, but if you ask me who do I think can win this game, one team or the other, I think I lean Packers over Bears.
This is a delicious game in that I think both these teams have fraudulent tendencies, and the Bears have been walking that line all year in these close games, trailing with 2 minutes to go, and then they find ways to pull it out. They did not in Week 18 against the Lions. The Packers, on the other hand, have not won a game in a month, and Jordan Love's been banged up. I feel like they've had a hard time since Tucker Kraft got hurt. They've had a hard time figuring out consistent offense and reliable offense, and Micah Parsons is out too. So I don't know, Thor, if you've done any legwork on this game yet because the bracket just came out, but I would lean toward home field advantage Chicago. And when I think about the Bears and the Packers, and given their flaws, I know what I'm getting with that Bears offense for the most part. Like I know Ben Johnson's scheme. I know what they're trying to do. And Caleb has been largely great when the chips are on the table late in these games. And so the fact that we haven't seen the Packers win a game in a month is a big deal, in my opinion. I don't think you just flip the switch when the playoffs hit. So I probably lean Bears early on with like 5 days to go until the game is played.
Well, first I'll say to Declan's setup of it, I as a Vikings fan actually feel the opposite, where I think this one is delicious because whoever loses, it's going to be objectively hilarious. The Bears fan base, which has become so obnoxious, like the remember when the Lions fan base was like cool and fun, and you could talk with them on Twitter, and then they got pretentious and all this stuff when the Lions start to get good, and then they became sort of nasty. The Bears fans, their fan base has been the same thing this year. They're riding high with the 2 seed. If they were to get upset by the Micah Parsons-less Green Bay Packers on their home field after getting the 2 seed, would be objectively hilarious. And then if Green Bay loses in round 1 to the Chicago Bears after they traded their 2 first-round picks to go all in for this season and next season, I suppose, as well, that would be objectively hilarious as well. So I'm just excited to watch that one. I'm going to have to get deeper on the handicap before I make my official prediction on this one. Outside of this, the winner of this game, you're going to have a quick stay in the playoffs. They will be losing the next round.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's probably a fair
assessment. Here's my question, because the Bears are well coached and good offensively. But my question is this: the Bears defense is a sieve. Okay, the Bears
6 yards of play.
Yeah.
6 yards of play.
And they are going into the playoffs leading the National Football League plus 22 in turnover differential. That, like, if you have a defense that's dominant and you're that good, it usually holds up. Like, you're going to force turnovers, but this to me again goes back to the 2022 Vikings. If the Packers can play a mistake-free game and move the ball, and all of a sudden, you know what? For the first time in a long time, perhaps you lose the turnover battle. I think it's sayonara Chicago. I think it's lights out Chicago.
It's the takeaway margin. It's not all luck, because if you are pressuring quarterbacks and you are hiding your scheme and you're disguising your back end, like there's things you can do to generate more chances for takeaways. But so I don't want to take all the credit away from Chicago, but that is a wild, like when you compare their takeaway margin and the turnover percentage on defense to their actual defensive productivity, stopping like yardage.
That's what
it's one of the widest gaps in recent NFL history, and it's bound to come crashing down at some point. But I've kind of said that throughout the regular season, like, well, I mean, but they wound up winning 11 games. But it is kind of like the Vikings from 2022, a little bit last year, where it'll show up at some point when you're playing the best teams in the world, which is what's about that.
There's going to be a regression to the mean. You guys are talking about 2022 Vikings. Let's talk about 2024 Vikings. They led the NFL in takeaways. This year they drop off by 12, 13 takeaways, and then you see the way that affects on the field. The Bears, you wouldn't be anything close to the 2 seed if you didn't have 33 takeaways. They needed that, and there is, by the way, such a thing as turnover luck. My favorite advanced metric system in college football is something called SP+. A guy named Bill Connolly does it. One of the metrics on there is turnover points added per game just from turnover luck, right? You have expected turnovers against actual turnovers. And when fumbles are going your way, when you have some quarterbacks and they throw it right into your chest plate and different stuff like that, and you're benefiting from that and it's flipping some games, it's not going to last forever. So when the clock does strike midnight on that, I think we're going to find out the Bears aren't as good as maybe their regular season looked.
How about also the New York Jets going a full season on defense?
That
without
is
even
insane.
That is
having
amazing.
a single Do you realize how easy it is to fluke your way into a random?
That is one of the great stats, one of the most shocking stats you will in modern football. 17 games, you couldn't intercept one pass in the passing era. In the NFL, and you just hired a guy who was a cornerback when he played in the NFL and was this decorated defensive coordinator. 0 interceptions. Oh my God!
What's crazy is they faced 515 pass attempts this season. 515 pass attempts, and they couldn't pick one of them off. Opposing quarterbacks, this is great. Opposing quarterbacks had a 36-0 touchdown to interception ratio against the New York Jets defense. Jets.
What a mess.
It's almost impossible, right?
Yes.
I mean, how many times could you
Yes.
have simulated this season, and you could have simulated it 1,000,000 times, and not in one simulation would one team have 0 interception, because that's impossible. It's impossible in the modern NFL to have 0 interceptions in 17 games as a team, and the Jets somehow did it. They didn't even get the first pick for their troubles. It's crazy.
Man, it is. It's wild. Has anyone else, before we say goodbye, has anyone else gotten fired here in the last? I don't think so. I think Jonathan Gannon was the last guy. So
you were talking about. I thought you meant anyone on this show. I was like, I hope not.
Yeah, sorry, Judd, sports dad.
Oh no! Everyone would be so disappointed.
Sorry, Thor. It was a quick run there. Another McCarthy injury, and Thor's credibility is shot.
Vikings haven't lost since I got hired, though. So that's just analytics
true.
right there. Hashtag analytics.
It's true.
No.
I'm looking here. So the current coach openings as we wind down this podcast, there's 6 of them. Raiders, Cardinals, Browns, Titans, Falcons, Giants. Just quick, with zero context. Just give me a name of a team. If you are a head coaching candidate, what's the number 1 team on this list that's an appealing job? Giants, Titans, Cardinals, Falcons, Raiders, Browns. I'll go Giants.
Titans? Cam Ward? I don't know.
You get a quarterback.
Yeah.
I would if now I always think about it as like taking over like a Madden dynasty or doing like the NCAA football game, because I always take the worst team. Probably the team that I would pick for this exercise is probably the team that no one else would pick. I would take the Jets, because they have the most early picks in the next 2 drafts.
The Jets don't have a head coaching opening.
Yeah.
Yet.
Oh, that's right.
He's probably not being fired.
I already replaced Aaron Glenn in my head.
I mean, he's going to be fired at some
How
point.
about the Falcons?
Next year.
How about the Falcons?
The problem with the Falcons, though, is you don't have a first-round pick in this class, because Terrible Terry tried to save his job. I wouldn't want to take that job and then you don't have a first-round pick as well. Would be my.
I got a couple years though. I'm new. I've got at least 3 years. It appears Arthur Blank gives you approximately 3 years.
Well, 2 in this case.
I do like some of their talent. Yeah, that's true. 2 years. Sorry, I misspoke. I do like some of their talent though.
Yeah. Maybe Tennessee or Arizona. I suppose
Arizona's not well run though, and the Browns are the same thing. Like I'm thinking, who's my boss?
I wouldn't want to do the Browns.
Like Jimmy Haslam, it's a mess. And you know what? Arizona has regressed again I feel like from an ownership standpoint, right? I feel like we've gone backwards again there.
Yeah. By the way, a new report that the Browns GM Andrew Berry, who will stay in place, said that the team will do work on quarterbacks this offseason because it's a position that needs to be solidified for the organization. You could run that quote back 25 years.
How has he kept his job?
I don't know.
He's crazy guy.
No, you know what on that one. But yeah, your 2 quarterbacks you selected in the last draft. Yeah, it's obvious, but bro, then you won yourself out of being in a position to take in this class. Number 6, this is a terrible quarterback class. Like, start throwing some more day 2 and day 3 picks at quarterbacks that aren't going to be long-term options either. I think the Browns, you're tanking it out this year, and you're joining a couple other teams here in the push-up for Arch Manning in the 2027 draft. I think the Browns, that's your goal with the 2026
Teams don't
season.
tank, Thor. Nobody tanks.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen, Thor.
Man, it's getting more egregious. They're not able to say that with a straight face
The
anymore.
Raiders are my favorite.
We got to teach the Vikings how to tank. They're not very good at it.
Organizations tank. Max Crosby, looks like your knee needs to be amputated. Yep. I'm jumping on a trampoline right now.
Dallas Turner, 100%. You're not playing. Why? I don't know. You're just not.
All right, for Thor, for Judd, for Dex, I'm Phil, and these have been Football Takes. Click that subscribe button, the like button on the new Football Takes YouTube channel. See you guys.